Alright folks, I'm Jimmy Cavanaugh here from Navy's Memorial Stadium. I'll make this short and sweet because I'm not sure if this weather is going to hold off. As soon as I open my computer to begin this thing, rain starts dropping from the heavens, and I really would not like to replace my computer. I'm of course reporting from Navy, Annapolis, Maryland, following IU's 31-30 loss to the Midshipmen. A really strong game from them on homecoming weekend. Ton of credit to the players for Navy and the cadets in attendance at this game. It was a really cool scene to watch down the stretch as Navy pulled out the win, a win that they richly deserved, and as you may be able to see behind me, something that was richly earned. Obviously, where other schools would have a Hall of Fame for players or coaches, Navy has examples of different battles that they've fought and won for the country, for the United States. For that, Hoosier fans and folks all across the country are obviously eternally grateful. We'll get back to the game. Another heartbreaking loss for IU, and one that they desperately wanted to have. I had the chance to talk to Cam Kaufman, Coach Wilson, and a few other players after the game, and they all said the same thing, that there's not much difference between this team and a winning team. Coach Wilson, as a matter of fact, called them a winning team. A team that does what it takes to win, they just haven't gotten the W's yet. We saw this a couple years ago with the IU basketball team under Coach Crane. A young squad struggling to figure out how to put together the effort it took to win games. It's not easy, and as Coach Wilson also said, it's not something that is given to you, especially at this level of college football. Indiana's a Big Ten team. They face Big Ten opponents on a weekly basis, and Navy is no exception. Obviously not in the Big Ten, but they are a very tough opponent, one that was expected to give IU trouble. We'll go to the Navy statistics, just a couple of them that were really intriguing to take care of and take a look at. Navy finished with 257 yards on the ground, obviously a run-heavy team, but it wasn't an instance where IU had trouble stopping them multiple times. Navy finished with 31 points, but the Hoosiers got stops. They were able to hold Navy very well. The Midshipmen didn't have a whole lot going for them late in the first half. IU had taken a 17-7 lead. Navy had punted. They had been stopped on a 4th and short, and IU had the ball back with a chance to take a 3-possession lead and essentially ice the game, or at least put them comfortably in the driver's seat when fate intervened once again. It was the kind of play that makes you wonder if the Hoosiers football season has been secretly placed on an Indian burial ground. Cam Kaufman dropped back to pass. A failed cut block led to a Navy defensive lineman getting his hand on a ball, tipping it up in the air, and a midshipman linebacker ran the ball into the end zone. All of a sudden, 17-14 Indiana, and they're back in a dogfight with a mentally tough, physically conditioned, and a rabid football team that was ready to bring home victory for all the alums here back for homecoming. Obviously for the IU players, it was a tough loss, one that they're going to look forward from, try to move on from as quickly as possible. As both Cam Kaufman and Kofi Hughes said, they didn't think there was a panic on the team. They thought they just came up a little bit short, and they thought that the way they played well enough to earn a victory and just didn't make the plays necessary to bring it home. Next week they go to Champaign, Illinois, play a questionable Illinois team. They're going to have the chances over the next few weeks to play a host of Big Ten opponents, and as Kevin Wilson said, earn that elusive W, which would be his first in Big Ten competition. A couple game notes from this contest. Stephen Houston finished with 21 carries, 9 more than he had had in any game this season. His most before this was Ball State with 12. He seemed to be a fan of the workload that he got. He thought that it helped him run better, harder, and quicker. But the way the game played out, it'll be interesting if that continues to happen. Houston was the workload back last year, and D'Angelo Roberts ran hard as well. Tevin Coleman ran hard as well. But all 3 backs had miscommunications, key ones, including a key one on the second to last drive of the game for the Hoosiers. Tevin Coleman on 1st and 10 ran the wrong way on a designed running play, forcing Cam Kaufman to chuck it out of bounds, and really the rest was history. 2nd and long, they threw it incomplete 3rd and long, same thing. Navy gets the ball back with plenty of time on the clock to go down the field to score, and Indiana turns it over on the final possession. The final turnover, an interception from Cam Kaufman thrown across his body. He admitted after the game that it was a play he forced, that it was a play he should not have made. And although he wouldn't admit it, one has to wonder if the pressure, physically, but also of the moment, got to him. It was a game that IU knew they should have had, that they were disappointed in not having, and one has to wonder how much that starts to weigh on a young team that's doing all the right things. Let's emphasize that again. They played very well last week against Ohio State. They hung with one of the best teams in the Big Ten. They played well the week before against Michigan State. The way the Hoosiers have played this year, they've played well enough to show that they can hang with any team in the Big Ten, any team on their schedule for the remainder of the season. The question is going to be whether or not they can put it together. Whether or not that happens with fans watching and paying attention is another question. At Hoosier Hysteria in Assembly Hall, 17,500 people watched the game's closing moments, and as has happened so many times before, they watched the Hoosiers fail to come up big in a moment where they needed to. I think that has a lot to do with the experience, or lack thereof, of this team. Kevin Wilson has said that they're not a young team anymore. They have plenty of game experience, and this is true, but they don't yet have experience in winning. IU Hoosier fans, football fans, are the same way. And fortunately or not, they're not going to have the opportunity to have the same type of widespread viewing opportunity that they had today in Assembly Hall. I think if that fan base had seen the IU football team come out with a much-needed win in dramatic fashion here in Annapolis, it would have been a different story. But as it is, 6:54, Cam Kaufman throws that interception. Hoosier Hysteria began at 7 o'clock, and I believe that it may be the case that this Indiana football team may have just lost its opportunity to win the permanent imagination of the fans for the rest of the season. They're going to have to earn that back now with W's. Next weekend against Champaign would not be a bad time to start. That's all the time we have here from Annapolis. I'm Jimmy Cavanaugh reporting from Navy Memorial Stadium for IU Sportcom, saying good night, travel well, and thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you next time.